Chairman Birdwell relating to the prosecution of certain criminal offenses regarding the acquisition of firearms, firearm and ammunition, smuggling, and terrorism.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, let me give just an opening note. I don't want to call it commentary or editorial, but just before I actually lay the bill out, it's my intention to have a discussion with members and the DPS to determine what terroristic offenses need to stay in the bill. I don't want to include an expansive list of offenses and label them as terrorism. There's merit to pieces of the bill, but I really wanted to have a hearing and a frank discussion. Because my fear is that in as expansive as the bill is, I'm adding every ornament from the Christmas ornament store to the tree, and it's almost as if we're trying to take the penal code and attach terrorism to every. So when I lay the bill out, please know that it is not my intention to try to move the bill as is. It is my intention to gain your counsel and wisdom, and particularly Mr. Stanford's from DPS, on how to broach this. Because while there are some good tools in the toolbox, we don't want to hand every tool in the toolbox and end up with the unintended consequences we always end up with. That maybe not because we didn't think it through, but somebody takes the discretion that such a tool gives them, and it isn't exactly what the legislature had in mind with that discretion. So with that, let me lay the bill out, and then we'll begin that discussion. Members, last session, this committee heard SB 1518 by Senator King, which passed both chambers and was signed into law. SB 1518 provided a robust framework to address the threat of terrorism by creating a new category for terroristic offenses. These terroristic offenses carry appropriate penalties against terrorists who knowingly act or provide material support to terrorist organizations. The terrorism statute applies to offenders who conspire to commit acts of terrorism with the intent to intimidate the public or influence government action. HB 214 expands the list to add intermediate and auxiliary offenses committed with terroristic intent, including the following: aggravated kidnapping, continuous smuggling of persons, criminal mischief, if the offense was committed using a firearm or explosive weapon, commercial bribery, fraudulent use or possession of identifying information, if punishable as a felony of a third degree, breach of computer security, telecommunication crimes, unauthorized use of a telecommunications service, manufacture, possession, or delivery of unlawful telecommunications device, theft of telecommunications service, publication of a telecommunications access device, and false caller identification information display, impersonating a public servant, if the public servant the actor impersonates or conspires to impersonate is a peace officer, prohibited weapons offenses with respect to an explosive weapon, a machine gun, or an improvised explosive device, components of explosive offenses, firearm and ammunition smuggling, and then it also, at HB 214, those are the list of all the offenses. HB 214 amends the offense of unlawful transfer of certain weapons to include the acquisition of a firearm with intent to deliver the firearm to an individual, knowing that the individual is prohibited from possessing a firearm by state law. This offense will be a state jail felony. Members, I do think this is from our bill that I guess it was a couple months ago. My view is this is a more enforceable aspect, trying to get at what I was trying to get at. But I think this is gives better context to law enforcement and our prosecuting authorities. Lastly, HB 214 amends the penal code to expand the offense of firearm smuggling to include the smuggling of ammunition for a firearm. And refining the state's terrorism statute has merit, but as I said in my opening, I would rather this be more precise than as imprecise as it feels. So with that, Mr. Chairman, subject to questions, more than happy to have Deputy Director Stanford join us and begin the discussion at your discretion, Mr. Chairman.